Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We're back at it with another ranking palettes video. I am moseying on through these, getting to the end. Hopefully this is number 9. If this is the first video of this that you are watching from me, I will link the playlist down below or in the cards. Maybe in the cards. But basically I'm just going through all of my palettes, for the most part, excluding some new ones, in groups of 10, ranking them, and then swatching out the palettes in each individual shade to give every shade the love it deserves. And before I get into it, I want to give credit where credit is due. Kelsee Brianna J, I will link her channel down below. I'm pretty sure came up with the idea of ranking makeup, so I want to give her credit. And then also Lauren May Beauty inspired the individual swatches of the shadows that I do, so I will link Lauren's channel down below as well. And let's just get into it. Again, like I said in my past couple videos, we are now getting to all palettes that I love, so none of these are like quote unquote bad. I mean, I don't really think that I have many like bad palettes necessarily in my collection, but I do just love all of these. So coming in at number 72, Melt Smoke Sessions. Honestly, using this palette by itself, I would bring in other mattes just because these two are pretty dark to do a look for me by like just using these. But I reach for these two matte shades from this palette literally all of the time. Almost 100% of the time now, if I'm using a palette or doing a green look, like a grungy green look that doesn't have a deepening shade, I will almost 100% of the time reach for Sour Diesel. And if I'm doing a teal look, I also reach for Space Queen so much. The shimmers here are nice. Honestly, they're not horrible melt shimmers. I don't really have a problem with them. They're not like super sparkly or anything. They're pretty just standard metallics, but yeah, the wheat theme doesn't really bother me. I don't really think about it that much, but I know it does bother some people. Number 71, Kaleidos Futurism 3 Astro Pink. I really do, oh my god. I can never hold these friggin' things. I really, really do love this palette a lot. I think all of these shades are super beautiful. It's just one that I find myself not reaching for as much. I don't know why that is. I wish that this purple was a little bit deeper, or that these two shades weren't so similar, but this duochrome blue to purple shade is absolutely stunning. And this is a beautiful like lilac, really intense shimmer. It's just one, I love it. I don't reach for it as much as other palettes that I have though. And then number 70 is Kaleidos Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise. Again, another one that I really, really love. I just find myself not reaching for it as much or pairing it with other palettes, but these two shimmers here are just absolutely divine. This is probably one of my best shimmers that I have in my collection. Honestly, it's so pretty and I really do love this palette, but I find that the color story isn't necessarily as cohesive as some of my other palettes. Like I will do a green look, like a teal look, or a neutral look, I find. But anyway, still do really love it. And then number 69, another Kaleidos palette, Futurism 1 Sci-Fi Green. Now this is one that I just adore. I honestly thought that I would rank this higher. It's just that I prefer a more sparkly shimmer, although I do love this color story, and I do wish that these two greens were a little bit more different from each other as well. Like I wish that this green was a little bit deeper and then this would be like an absolutely perfect palette for me. But yeah, this is just where I'm ranking it. Next up at number 68 is Colourpop High Tide. I have fallen back into love with teal, or actually fallen in love with teal. I feel like I've never loved teal as much as I love it now, and this is such a divine monochromatic teal palette. I love the range of depths. I love that there's a variation in tones. I don't know, I just really like it. It just doesn't rank as high as some of my other palettes that aren't monochromatic, that maybe have a little bit of a more interesting color story, but honestly, I really love this palette. I love the way the mattes perform. The shimmers also aren't like the best shimmers I've ever tried. They're nice, but Colourpop shimmers are just, you know, nice metallics, nothing too crazy. Number 67 is not really cheating, but it's the Colourpop Wine and Only palette, and I actually have only swatched this palette. So this is pretty much assuming that it's the same formula as what I'm familiar with from Colourpop. and it's based on Color Story. And I do really love this Color Story. I mean, wine red tones are just everything to me. Again, it's a monochromatic palette, which I do like, but I do appreciate a little bit more variation. And yeah, although I do really appreciate the depth that this palette gives, it's just not necessarily as exciting to me as some of my other ones, but it's still ranked high. Like, I still like Colourpop's formula. I still really like this Color Story. I don't really have any issues with it necessarily, but this is just where it lay. Number 66 is the Huda Beauty Nude Rich palette. Honestly, super similar to Colourpop Wine and Only. I find there's just a little bit more variation in tone in the Huda Beauty one. Like, you have a little bit more of like a difference in shades and stuff going on. You can get maybe a little bit more different looks. And I like the shimmers in the Huda Beauty one more, so that's why it's ranked higher than this Colourpop one. I just find that the Huda Beauty shimmers are more sparkly, and I really love that about them. So, and not to say that I don't like this palette, I still really love this palette, honestly. It's just a monochromatic, warm red toned palette, so it's not like crazy, super unique in my collection. Number 65 is another kind of cheating palette. It's the Colourpop Child palette. I've used this, a few shades from this once, but I definitely haven't used this as extensively as some of my other palettes. It's ranked a little bit higher than some of the other monochromatic palettes that I have because I think this color story is actually quite unique. I feel like there's a lot of actually fun looks that you can do. I would have liked maybe a deeper green in here, but I don't know, I like the difference in textures, I like the difference in tones. I can see myself incorporating like green and red together, so I find that this is like a really fun palette. I don't watch The Mandalorian, I don't watch Star Wars or care for Star Wars, so this is based purely on color story and formula. Star Wars really has no influence on my decision here. Number 64, I lied in one of my previous videos. I said that I had talked about all of my Juvia's Place palettes, but this is the last Juvia's Place palette to be ranked, the Nomad. This palette is such a special place in my heart, and it's not necessarily the most unique color story in the world, but every time I look at this color story, it makes me excited, it makes me happy. These are the tones that I love to wear and to look at and to use, and I just adore it. I don't know, I think if there were maybe more shimmers in this palette, like I do like these shimmers, but they're not my number one formula. They're just really thick metallics, which are nice, but I do prefer something with a little bit more sparkle to it. Maybe this would have ranked higher. Now I feel like I should have ranked this higher. I don't know, this is where I ended up ranking it. I feel like this one and the next palette like could be swapped almost. They're pretty like equal, I feel like, in terms of my love for them. This is just where they ended up, but it's honestly just my perfect grungy green color story. And you even have like some oranges in here. It's not like totally monochromatic green, which is also what I love about it. I absolutely love this super, super, super dark, almost black brown, and I reach for this all the time, especially though in the fall. And then the last palette for this video, number 63, Kaleidos Flower Punk. A lot of Kaleidos palettes in this video, and I ranked this a little bit higher than the Nomad palette because I remember having so much fun with this when I first got it and was using it a ton, and I love the shimmer formula. I love these grungy greens down here, and like this chartreuse shade. I think it's like super fun and unique. There isn't as much depth in here for me to rank this much higher. I would pretty much always pair this with a palette with deeper mattes, or just deeper mattes in general, but I do think this is a really unique color story. I really enjoy playing with it. It always inspires me. I know a lot of people said that this is like their number one Kaleidos palette. I don't necessarily know that this is my number one Kaleidos palette, but I do enjoy it a lot. And that concludes this video talking about my palette rankings. Definitely go check out the other videos if you haven't already, because those have over half of my palettes already ranked and swatched. It's a fun time, relaxing. You know me in a good swatch video, so I hope you enjoyed it. And I would love to see you in my next video if you want to continue to hang out here. I typically post 3 videos a week unless something goes wrong in my life. Yeah, bye-bye.